teachers flooded the land like locusts, each louder, prouder, and more certain than the last. In the dusty border town of Derinkaya, a quiet boy went searching for truth and found it in the one place no one thought to look. In the land of Cappadocia, where the mountains bled stone and the wind carved hymns into the canyon walls, the town of Derinkaya sat quietly in the dust, listening. It had not always listened, not until the noise came. After the great schism of the church, when west and east parted with mutual anathemas, Derinkaya became a crossroads of confusion. Latin friars rode in from the west, speaking of a pope who held the keys of Peter. Greek monks arrived from the east, swearing their incense still rose from the only true altar. Between them came mystics, prophets, heretics, and more than a few madmen, each claiming to teach the one true way, each louder than the last. The town square, once a thriving marketplace of olive sellers and fresh honeypots, now teemed with teachers. One man claimed to have seen the Virgin in a gourd. Another taught salvation through silence, though he charged a fee to explain it. Each carried scrolls, relics, and arguments, yet none seemed to agree on what was holy. Kalin, a shepherd of 17 years of age, watched it all from the edge of the crowd. Kalin's grandfather had died only weeks before, an old man with clouded eyes who spent his final days whispering psalms to no one in particular. Just before he died, he pressed a small parchment into Kalin's hand. On it was written, "The Spirit speaks in stillness. Go and listen." That was all. No explanation, no command, just a simple moniker. And so, with one coin in his satchel and the dust of the hills in his boots, Kalin left his flock with another shepherd he trusted and entered the marketplace of teachers. He asked questions. He received answers. So many answers that they quickly blurred into nonsense. One teacher said the schism was a punishment for impure icons. Another blamed the Greeks' refusal to add a phrase to the creed. One monk offered penance by flagellation. A friar offered indulgences in exchange for alms. Each man had credentials. Each spoke with the fire of certainty. None seemed to agree. After 3 days, Kalin sat beneath the shade of a ruined arch, his head aching with theology. His coin was long gone. So was his appetite. "You look like a man who swallowed a scroll," came a voice. Kalin looked up. An old woman selling lentils handed him a bowl. "I can't pay. It's a poor town that feeds only the paid-up faithful," she said. He ate quietly. The lentils were simple and warm, certainly more certain than all the doctrines he'd just consumed. "Your grandfather?" the woman said. "Was he the monk at St. Armenian?" Kalin nodded. She nodded back. "He didn't say much, but we listened when he did. If you're looking for teachers, try the old chapel on the edge of town. There aren't many words spoken there, but there you'll find wisdom, if you desire it." The chapel was mostly a ruin, a crumbling stone apse, a half-collapsed dome, the faint scent of old incense caught in the thurible. But someone had tended the garden. Vines clung to the walls. A small olive tree stood stubbornly in the sun. Karen sat beside a man near the old chapel. He was carving a cross from a branch, whittling slow and steady strokes. Kalin waited. The man said nothing. After an hour, Kalin broke the silence. "Are you the teacher here?" The man didn't look up. "I listen," he replied. "To what?" The man tapped his chest with the hilt of his knife, then pointed to the wind. Kalin stayed. Days passed. The man, who never gave a name, taught nothing in the way the town's teachers did. He rose before the sun, prayed facing east, tended the vines, and fasted on Wednesdays and Fridays. He carved wood, read psalms aloud in Greek, and spoke only when necessary. Kalin had never known silence could be full. Once, he asked why the man didn't argue like the others. The man said, "Because the truth isn't deaf." One morning, Kalin returned to the town square to fetch bread. He found a crowd gathered around a new preacher, a Latin man with a silver tongue and jeweled staff. His robe was fine, and his voice rang like a church bell. He spoke of reason and authority, of how the East had fallen into mysticism and pride. "The Pope," he said, "is the shepherd of the world. All other paths are error." People nodded, some cheered. Then he saw Kalin. "You," the preacher said, "you've been listening to that desert fool. Do you think truth is found in a garden of weeds?" Kalin felt the eyes of the town on him. His cheeks burned. He opened his mouth to answer, but just as quickly closed it, saying nothing in reply. The silence fell strangely loud. "Bah," the preacher muttered. "Another mute mystic. May God deliver us from monks with no message." That night, Kalin returned to the chapel. The old man was by the fire. "I wanted to argue," Kalin said. The man nodded, "But I had nothing to say." The man handed him a psalter and said, "Then you are beginning to learn." A year passed. Kalin grew a beard. He carved his own cross. He read by the light of a cracked oil lamp and listened when the wind changed. He walked the canyon path to St. Armenian's ruined hermitage, where once his grandfather prayed and fasted in the caves. There, in the dark, doubt came. What if all of them are wrong? What if God no longer speaks? What if the silence is just silence? The words echoed, but there was no voice to answer. Then came a memory, not of words, but of a bowl of lentils and a whisper. The Spirit speaks in stillness, and then, not a voice, not a vision, but a certainty, small as a seed, strong as a root. When Kalin returned to Derinkaya, the town had changed. It was quieter. Some preachers had moved on. The Latin friar still gave speeches, but fewer listened. The Greek monks sang hymns again, softly, without debate. The olive vendor asked Kalin what he believed. "I don't," he said. "I listen." She nodded. Years later, pilgrims came to Derinkaya, seeking the silent teacher. They found Kalin sitting beneath the olive tree. Some asked for teachings. He handed them psalms. Some asked if he were holy. He laughed. Others asked why he said so little. He only smiled and said, "Because the truth isn't deaf."